Welcome to Inside View. I'm your host, Sid Marsh, and today we have Robbie Allen, who is the artistic director of Murphy's Creek Theater. Welcome, Robbie.
Hi, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, okay, let's find out a little bit more about the theater.
All right.
Let's tell us all about Murphy's Creek.
Murphy's Creek, we're going through a big transition. We started last year, a bunch of big renovations in the theater. The whole inside is redone, repainted. The roofs are fixed, so that's nice.
Nobody's going to get wet.
Nobody's going to get wet. The lobby's redone, revamped. We're still chipping away at a lot of things, but we're coming into the new age, I think, and updating our equipment. We just got a brand new sound system, which is fantastic. It's going to up our credibility and our ability to put on the best show possible, I think, and really immerse the audience in the theater experience.
How about as far as the plays you've selected and the actors and that sort of thing?
The plays, what I'm bringing to the table for Murphy's is plays that really focus on humans and telling a human story. So most of my plays reflect that, I think, this season. Really diving into what is love, what is human, what is forgiveness, what is redemption, all that kind of fun human stuff that we go through without getting too political or too serious about one side of one person's views. I like to encompass all humans, and so that's kind of where I started with my season and why I picked it.
Now, what are some of the challenges that you face being a theater up in the mountains? You're not in the city, you don't have all the facilities and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we're tucked away, we're very secluded. We do have the advantage of being sort of this Bay Area valley retreat for a lot of folks. So we get a lot of San Francisco people that come in to do wine tasting and then go, oh, look, there's a professional theater tucked away in the big parking lot down by the park.
Well, first, you better tell us, where is Murphy's Creek?
Murphy's Creek Theater is on 580 South Algiers Street in Murphy's, California.
Right behind the park.
Right behind the park,
Park.
in the only big public parking lot in the whole town. So just right down the street. It's just a short 5-minute walk from downtown Murphy's, actually.
Now, you've been both an actor and a director. What do you like best?
I love acting. I love the charge and the storytelling that I get in being on stage or on film. There's nothing like it. I'm new to directing. I just started 3 years ago directing, but I find like I get to be all the characters, and I get to dive into all the different aspects of the show and the lighting and the sound and what creates a memorable experience for the audience, and that has been truly satisfying. So it's hard. I still think acting's beating it out, but directing's coming up close.
Well, how did you get involved in acting? Give us a little background on yourself.
Oh gosh, let's see. I guess I had always wanted to do it as a kid, and it was one of those things that I just pushed aside because I was in sports. I was an athlete, and I got a basketball scholarship, actually, to play, and then I got sick and hurt my senior year. And so the offers and the scholarships kind of went away. If you don't play your senior year, they kind of dried up. And I thought, well, it's time to maybe try this acting thing out. And so I got into drama my senior year after I got kind of off the team and things like that. And just got bit again. I just loved it. I love telling stories is my big thing. So that was 17, I started again. And then I went to acting school right after that in New York.
In New York,
yeah,
okay.
I was there
and you've been in L.A. for a while?
I've been in L.A. the last 7 years doing film and television.
What kind of film and television? Give us a little...
I started out my first national being on TV cable was the History Channel. I was on a show called How We Got Here. I played a gold miner and had a bunch of lines. It was fun. I've done a show called Cougar Town with Courtney Cox. I've done lots of little featured parts in, let's see, Hello, My Name is Doris with Sally Field. That was a lot of fun. She's nice. I got to be John Voight's stand-in and acting buddy, so I got to really learn a lot from him, and that was a lot of fun. He's a great guy. And
What do you like better, stage or film? They're two different styles
they are
of
two
acting.
different styles of acting,
Right.
and I love them both as storytelling mediums. I really do. I think you can really dive into the imagination with film, and I love that aspect about it, and I love that I don't have to project to the back of the room.
That's true.
I can just have a conversation like we're having. There's something real about film that I really grab onto, that I really, really enjoy.
What I've
Again.
always found is film can be shot all out of sequence.
All out of
Whereas a
sequence.
stage play, it's very linear.
Yeah.
But you could do the ending first.
And usually they do. We do. On the feature films that I've done, you shoot towards the end first, because you got to see if you have a film. The producers want to know if they have a film. The director, do we need to recast this person that we top billed? So they usually shoot the climax first, and that's been my experience with it. So and then you go back and start telling the beginning of the story,
Right.
which is
So you're
bizarre.
you're all up for the ending.
Yeah.
Now you got to go back.
You got to go
the
back
beginning.
and remember what did I do here that makes me continue that journey? How did I get there in the first place? And it can be very confusing. There's a lot of talented people on set that kind of help guide you, though, so you're not alone in that endeavor. Thank goodness.
Now, this present time, you are in a play.
I am.
You're in Barefoot in the Park.
Barefoot in the
You're
Park.
the lead.
Yep.
Any thoughts about what's going on with that?
We're having a lot of fun doing it. Michelle Lowe and I are revisiting characters that we both played 10 years ago.
right.
Yeah, at Stage 3, in Stage 3's heyday. So it's been a lot of fun to revisit these characters, being older and wiser and a whole new perspective on life. I think we're having a blast with it, the two of us.
You can see a real difference between
You
the
can
10
see,
years ago and now. Yeah.
I can, I see it in her, and I know she sees it in me, and it's been, it's fun to watch the progression and how much deeper we're able to understand these characters and present them. It's been fun. It's been a challenge, because I found that when we started the process, the lines came back really quickly, but so did my old habits of playing the character. And I was like, oh, that's kind of 10 years ago, Robbie. I don't want to convey that again, where it's just kind of stiff. And I was a young actor when I played it. I was 23 when I played it, so very young and green in my years when I started it. So being 33 now is I have quite the perspective on Paul as a character, and she does as Corey as a character, and working.
You can't miss with Neil Simon.
You can't. You really can't.
Just say the lines and you'll get a laugh.
And you will. You really will. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're struggling at rehearsal, you just have to trust that this is great material. This is wonderful, wonderful writing, and he was a master at what he did. And I mean, it's standing the test of time. So
Now the next play at Murphy's Creek is going to be Moon Over Buffalo.
Moon Over Buffalo.
And you're directing.
I am.
And in your kindness, you've cast me.
I did.
And I wanted to find out, why did you choose Moon Over Buffalo?
Moon Over Buffalo.
And maybe explain what Moon Over Buffalo is about a little
Moon Over Buffalo is about an acting troupe in the 1950s, where television was really starting to come into its own and pushing out live theater. So this is one of the last, seemingly last, traveling troupes in America, professional anyways. So we follow George and Charlotte Hay, who were kind of B-movie stars trying to rise to the top, but always kind of fell back into theater as their first love. And we come on to a repertory where they're doing Cyrano de Bergerac and Private Lives. And the play opens with them rehearsing the show, and the shenanigans kind of sprawl out from there.
And it's a whole thing of mistaken identity.
Mistaken identities.
Frank Capra is supposed to come to see the play.
Exactly, yeah. It's
and they're
very,
going
very
crazy.
farcical. I mean, it relies heavily on farce, on situational comedy, kind of slapstick. It's just very big and physical. You have a very big and physical time ahead of you.
We'll
So,
see. I
yes,
know.
you do.
I've been trying to get in shape for this.
Me too. Me too.
So you've done, the season started with a drama, and then you went to a comedy, another comedy. What do you try to do? More comedy, more drama? How do you lay when a year comes up? How do you lay out your 5 shows? What goes through your head?
Well, the demographic where I'm at has a lot to do with it. In LA, I could get away with doing drama all the time, or just because there's a lot of experimental things down there, and you can get away with it. In more rural areas, comedy sells more. I mean, it just does. Not that I'm solely after the dollar, but it does keep the doors open. But so choosing comedies that are hysterical but have a message behind them is kind of where I come from. Barefoot definitely has a message behind it, and at the end of this one, at Moon Over Buffalo, it definitely does. There's these wonderful kind of life lessons at the end. Some shows, they just, they'll give you a bunch of fluff and a bunch of pizzazz, and then they're over, and you're like, oh, did I learn anything? Did I take anything away from that? You don't. So,
have you ever thought about musicals for the theater?
I have, and I've gotten approached about, a dozen different times about, when are you going to do a musical? When are you going to do a musical? And soon, I really do hope soon.
It's a whole different.
It's a whole different thing. I want to take a few seasons if they'll keep me. I want to take a few seasons and really build up the comedy aspect and the family aspect and the fun aspect of our theater, while also, hitting hard with some poignant dramas. But we really need to build audience trust, I think, and to do a musical in a town where another theater has musicals pretty much down packed. SRT has done a marvelous job of really cultivating the musical scene here. So doing one, I'd have to really, really love it, and it would have to be kind of fun, a little edgy with a message, I think. So, and I don't know if I've found that musical that fits in our stage yet, but I'm definitely open to it.
It's also a bigger production. There's a lot more
it's a
music and all that.
Bigger production, yeah, and we need a couple more speakers, I bet, and some more lights and boom for it. But we're getting there. I think, it's a tough call on that because we are we're in a good position now, but you need to be pretty solid for a musical production because they are extravagant and expensive and large, and you got to be able to put all those actors somewhere backstage.
Exactly.
And that's going to be a trouble.
Now, not only does Murphy's Creek produce plays, but you also have training for kids and that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit more about that. We've
started our acting workshop for adults and kids, actually. Our kids one is going to be this summer, time to be decided. But it's going to be a Shakespeare weekend where we're going to pick a Shakespeare show, put the kids through the paces of how to speak it, how to do the movements, and they'll present a show at the end of the third day on Sunday.
What are you going to do for the adults? That's it. I didn't know you were going to do adults.
We've actually started. We've actually started our acting classes for adults. It went very, very well.
Yeah.
We start out with
reception from the students and all that?
It was a very small class, but Sean Lewis and I, we both teach it. We take people through theater etiquette, because just basic theater etiquette doesn't really, I feel like that's become taboo nowadays with a lot of actors. They just feel like they go in, they do this, and there's an etiquette to theater. There's a professionalism that I'm trying to bring also to this area. So we cover that quite a lot throughout the entire week. It's a week-long workshop.
Give us some examples of theater etiquette.
Theater etiquette. Putting your costumes away.
Oh, okay, just the simple things.
Simple things like that, not drop it, and I've seen it so much. Listening to your director. I've come across so many actors in all of my travels, New York, LA, here, where the actor already knows what to do, or it's like, no, we're all collaborating, yes, but the director's there for a reason to guide and to put forth a vision.
I was just going to say, the director is the one that has a vision.
Has the vision,
of all the parts coming together and how it should work.
Yeah, and a lot of actors get buttoned into, well, I know what to do. Well, maybe you do for that certain character or point in time then, but like as a whole, it doesn't really work. So teaching them that, to just trust. There's a big trust aspect, I think, with new actors or you know, actors in general. If they've got a habit, sometimes it needs to break. And I have I teach my students the 2 times rule. Try it twice, and if it doesn't work, we'll figure something else out. But at least try it twice.
Try it twice.
Try it twice.
First is rehearsal. The
second time is putting some thought behind it, and if it's still not working, we'll change it. And and I'm totally open to all that collaboration. I love collaborating with other actors. I think we all have this creative spirit within us, and I think to have one director, a dictator type director, who just says, do it my way and that's it, is very stifling to all of us as artists. And
or gives you a line reading.
Yeah, we go over that too. No line readings. If you're a director and you can't, in a roundabout way, get the actor to do what you want him to do, you should maybe produce or do something else.
What do you find it easier working with, like an older, more seasoned actor, or somebody totally green that you can help, you know, manipulate in a way?
It depends on the older actor's habits.
Yeah.
I had the honor and absolute privilege of working with Dwight Meyerbeer in Whipping Man, and he's been around for decades doing this, and there's not a more professional actor I've worked with, and it was an absolute just pleasure. Every day to collaborate with, and we would bounce ideas off of each other with no ego involved, and it was like, hey, try this, or hey, can we? It was incredible. And then on the other hand, you get actors who won't do that.
Well, in that particular play, there was Dwight, and then there was the other actor who
Levi.
was brand new.
Levi Lowe, yeah.
So how was it working with the new guy?
He was very, very open to a lot of direction, which was very nice. There's still that youthful energy that he had, which was, he would challenge things, which as a young actor you should do. You should ask why. Why am I doing this? And to get into depth of the progression of why a character should do what they do was actually a lot of fun, and actually brought me back into wanting to teach and cultivate young actors again, because having those discussions, I think, are important no matter what your age is. And sometimes as a seasoned actor, we forget to ask all these questions. And Levi would always ask, and it kind of brought us back down to like, oh yeah, we really need to dig into that question. And we need to dig into sometimes just the simplest things to figure out the more complicated aspects of character or story. So it was fun. So there was a wonderful dynamic with the two of them. Both a pleasure to work with. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So.
Now, as a director, when you start attacking a play, do you have it totally in your head, all the blocking, all this? I mean, or do you just let it flow as you rehearse and that sort of thing? How do you work?
I have a general idea. I don't like to lock anything in, because I like to know my actors, but I don't know how they move, and I don't know how they completely think, and I can get into their heads more if I keep it more loose. I have a general idea, though. It's not that I'm going in like, hey, let's just walk around and let nature take its course. But you can't do that. You have to have a guide that guides you in a direction, or else it slowly becomes an acting workshop of chaos. I feel like I've been in those productions where it's, yeah, whatever you feel. Like, okay, yeah, but maybe just guide me.
Always remember there's an audience watching.
There is,
and
yeah.
You gotta entertain them, make them laugh, make them cry, whatever it is.
And at the end of the day, you have to do the same thing every night for 4 weeks.
Exactly.
So it can't just be so laissez-faire that you don't lock anything in, because when that line goes or that line slips, sometimes the movement that you're doing puts you right back into the stories, and then you can continue to tell the story and not blank out on stage. So I have a general idea, but I like to really, in that first week, get to know my actors. And we will block it, but it's very loose blocking. And then we'll play with things as props come in and set pieces come in, and every aspect of that changes when solid objects start to appear on the stage. Sometimes the blocking doesn't work, so we have to change it, and that's totally fine. Or someone's knee isn't, you never know. You never know. So going in with a very clear-cut, like, he moves here at this time. Never really. I can't do that. I can't do that to my actors or myself. I think I'd drive us all crazy.
I've run into directors like that.
I have too.
It's almost like a football game, all planned out,
Yeah.
and the end goes over here, and all.
Yep.
And you go, whoa.
Like, all right, I guess, and then you're just a puppet at that point. You're not an artist anymore. You're kind of just a mouthpiece for this one director's vision, and I don't think that's what makes good theater or a good story. I think we all bring something to it, and I think it all should be heard at some point to be fleshed out, because we all, this is what we do. So
Now, Murphy's Creek is not an equity house, as they say. What is the difference? I mean, there's community theater, there's equity theater. Kind of explain that to the folks.
So we're kind of in the middle. We're professional theater because we do pay our actors, and we are actually a guest equity house. We can house.
What does that mean?
So we can have equity contracts.
Now, equity is the stage
Equity is
union.
it's our union, the stage actors union, Actors Equity Association, and it just.
Now,
it's
do you
a
have
union.
plans? Would you like to see it become equity?
I would.
What are the goods, the positives and the negatives of being an equity house or being?
There's a lot of rules and regulations that go with being a full equity house. There's minimums that you have to meet. There's a certain amount of money you have to make every year.
Is
delegated
Sierra
to.
Repertory?
They are an equity house.
Equity
yeah,
house.
they've been equity for quite a while. Some houses, and I've seen this a lot in LA, where there's exemptions. There's the 99-seat rule, which I still don't really understand because there's no clear-cut guidelines on it.
It's
really.
what, you can be an equity actor and do a play in a 99-seat house.
Yeah, exactly, and then that gets all wonky if there's a certain amount of weeks and days and hours. So it's been a burden on some equity actors, and the reason I didn't go equity, I have all my weeks and everything, but I never did it because you get more work if you can do both. So I can go to an equity house because I'm the equity candidate. I have my membership, but it's not full membership. So I can do equity shows, but I can also do non-equity shows, which, when you're traipsing around LA, you need the work.
You do need the work. Now, can Murphy's Creek hire equity actors?
Yes, we
like
can.
From LA?
Dwight was an equity actor.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we hired Dwight.
Have you thought about going beyond the mother load?
Absolutely,
looking for other actors and that
absolutely.
sort of thing?
I'm bringing actors up for Romeo and Juliet from Los Angeles, from my old acting company down there.
Now, is that the next one after Moon Over Buffalo?
It's the next one after Moon Over Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be our fall show, Romeo and Juliet. So I'm bringing actors up from Los Angeles and probably down from San Francisco and adjacent places like that. It's hard to find Shakespeare actors around. Our little mother load.
A very limited base that you
We
could
do.
draw
I'm
from.
finding that our base is very limited. We do have some extremely talented local actors, but they're not always available for every show. They have lives, But to get back to Murphy's Creek and where it's going, I would love to be on the regional scene. I think we're prepped to do that.
Now, when you say the regional scene, what does that mean?
Is a guest equity house.
I keep
and-
going back to SRT. Are they a regional theater?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's a good example
Yeah.
of what you try.
Regional theater is basically bringing in actors from all over the place and having equity contracts and then being able to pay a regular salary to folks. So my goal is to make it as professional as I possibly can and give people careers and start people out and, have all comfortable living. I mean, it may not be possible, but it's a goal to reach for. So I'm going to give it my best, see what happens. So.
Well, now you only have like the mother load to draw from.
Mm-hmm.
You must know every actor in Mother Load.
I feel like I'm getting reacquainted. Yes, I mean, Levi I didn't know. He was a young actor that just kind of came up for Whipping Man Again, he was a fantastic find. So they do.
But he doesn't want to be an actor.
Not really. No, he's a poet, and he's wonderful at it. He's been on the national stage for
poetry.
For poetry, so for spoken word. So he's got a lot of talents, that kid. So he can kind of choose his path. So yeah.
So what's the rest of the season? We have Moon Over Buffalo. We have Romeo and Juliet. What else is going to do?
The Games Afoot is our Christmas show. Okay. Let's see. It's kind of in the vein of what I've been doing this season about actors and things like that. It's about Gillette, who played Sherlock Holmes quite a bit on stage, and there was a murder on stage at one of his shows, and so he invites the cast and crew to his mansion to figure out who committed the murder. So it's a murder mystery set in the holiday. And
oh, okay. I was going to. There's Christmas and all.
Yeah, there's a Christmas tree in the back, so we just call it Christmas. No, they call it a Holmes holiday caper or something like that. So it's there's a lot of ingrained Christmas themes in the show. It's a lot of fun. I'm not a big fan of traditional Christmas shows like Christmas Carol and all that stuff. Right. It just gets overdone, and I like to try to find.
But some people they want to go see Nutcracker.
Of course,
there's the old standard.
There is the old standard.
Some people want Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and I will probably end up getting my arm twisted in a year or two and we'll have a Christmas Carol up. I'm sure of it. But to start out, I found this one, and I was very happy to find a Christmas show that was Christmas, but not so Christmas that it didn't hit you over the head with a candy cane or anything. So.
Have you given any thought to 2020? Do you have a play in mind?
I have lots of thoughts. I have plays that I wanted to do this year that I thought might not work in the season, so I might shift those over to next year. I'm always probably going to do a Shakespeare. My training is Shakespeare oriented.
Do you find it hard getting directors?
Yes.
Actors are one thing, but directors are...
Yes, because you need someone to guide that ship that you trust. I mean, it could really fall apart with a bad director. My first job here in Murphy's Creek was coming up to bail out a show, The Mousetrap, because it just wasn't working. There was a chemistry that wasn't working, and it doesn't mean it was a bad director or a bad cast or anything like that. It just, the chemistry wasn't right, and it kind of fell apart, so they brought me up from Los Angeles, and that's kind of how I got hooked in up here. Well,
let's remind the folks again about Moon Over Buffalo.
Let's do that.
When is that going to open?
It opens on June 21st and runs to July 14th.
And you can see your work and my work if you go to the play. Right?
You really can. You really can. You can see it all, and it'll be fun.
Well, Robbie, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate learning more about Murphy's Creek.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Sid Marsh, and this is Inside View.